Hello, I'm Lauren Green, and you are in the strategy room. America is counting down the hours until the first presidential debate tonight, which will feature unprecedented tension from both sides of the fence. Will this intensity be helpful or draw attention away from the real reason for the event? Joining me now are professor at Iona College and strategist at Applied Techonomics, Jeanne Zaino, and Republican strategist Morgenstern. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeanne, let me start with you. A lot of a Super Bowl almost hype around this debate tonight. I mean, what do you make of that?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, they're saying 120 million people may watch. Even apparently ESPN and the NFL football has given up on trying to get an audience for Monday Night Football because they're just giving in, and it looks like the audience is going to be huge for this. You know, I think that it's really great that so many people are interested. I do think, however, we have to be very careful because, you know, there's a lot of discussion back and forth about whether these debates matter. In an election this close, they really can. But historically, they don't move the numbers as much as I think the hype would portend. So I think we have to be a little bit careful about that. But that said, I'm thrilled so many people are interested. I'm incredibly excited to see how it goes.
Now, Brian, one thing that's interesting is that both camps are sort of rumored to be inviting rivals of their opponent, sort of just to upset their game. I mean, is this a good strategy, or is it just dirty play?
Oh, with the Clinton campaign inviting Mark Cuban and threatening to invite Jennifer Flowers.
That actually was more interesting.
Oh, my gosh. This is like a couple of WWE wrestlers trash talking before the game, before the match, trying to get inside each other's heads. The difference is you usually have one villain and one hero. Here, nobody likes either candidate because their unfavorables are so high. But that's just what they're doing. They're trying to throw each other, off their game, get in their heads. The challenges remain the same for both. For Hillary to connect on a personal level with voters, for Trump to show people that he's not a gamble. It's not, voting for him is not like rolling the dice with our national security. So the challenges remain. The attacks will be flying in both directions, I have no doubt, which adds to the entertainment value, which is why 100 million people are going to watch this, because whether you are enthused about one of the candidates or whether you view this as a car accident you don't want to miss, everybody's going to watch either way.
Wow. It's very interesting, though, because one of the things that is apparent about debates is that a lot of it's perception. I mean, you go back to the Nixon-Kennedy debate, and it's about, him sweating and Kennedy looking really cool. How do you prepare for a debate like this if you are a presidential nominee? And what are the do's and don'ts?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because as much as Hillary Clinton and I'm sure Donald Trump to a certain extent are focusing on policy, and they certainly don't want to make a big gaffe, debates are famously very little about substance and very much about perception. And so you can go back, Al Gore sighing, for instance, heaving sighs, really in a debate in which, on the radio, people might have thought Al Gore won. He completely lost the audience, right? Yeah. Rick Lazio, approaching Hillary Clinton's lectern in the 2000 senatorial debate in New York, really cost him the election. And, I talked to Rick Lazio the other day. He said, I said, what advice do you have? Stay behind the lectern, he says. So, I mean, he takes it funny. But I think the real do's are to, number one, remember that you are always on the hot seat, regardless of whether you are speaking or not, that you have to be very good in terms of the substance, but this is not at all a game of substance. It is a game of trying to appeal to voters and trying to appeal to both your base and to the middle and the moderates. It's also not so much about making these quips, which we hear so famously about, but it is about making sure you are in the moment so that you do catch on when your opponent makes a mistake and you are in touch with the moderator. It's a very complicated thing to do. And, Hillary Clinton does it very well. We've seen that. But Donald Trump is a very good debater. He hasn't had one-on-ones, and he hasn't had a debate with a woman, which I think is a big difference, but one-on-one. But he has done very well in the debate so far. So I think they're going to be formidable opponents.
Brian, I think, Jeanne said it before, is that the dial doesn't move very much after a debate. But Donald Trump has this momentum, because a month ago he was really behind in the polls. Now he seems to be inching closer. This seems to be his to lose at this moment.
Well, in terms of the momentum, it's because he has reined himself in and allowed the negative coverage of Hillary Clinton to do its job, as opposed to stealing back the election cycle by virtue of some controversy. So if he can stay on that path to seeming like a credible candidate, then this debate It may be so boring it'll make our head spin or whatever, but it'll make people think of him as more of a presidential person. And in that vein, he, of course, is the outsider, never held office. And so he needs to show why Hillary Clinton's 30 years of experience at this is actually not good. So he needs to be, you know, showing the poor judgment she's displayed in various contexts, Libya, Iran, and all of the various sort of powder kegs that have sprung up over the last several years. And he needs to use his lack of experience to his advantage, which is not always the easiest thing to do. She needs to, again, just keep showing how risky Donald Trump is and try to get him off his game.
All right. I want to thank you so much, Jeanne and Brian, for being here.
Thank you.
And for complete coverage of the 2016 election, go to foxnews.com. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.